Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. Oh, we are on volume 15 of Toilet-Bound Hanako-Kun. And I don't have a visual yet for what volume 15's cover will look like, so the thumbnail just has an image that's from one of the chapters apparently. I just looked up volume 15 cover and that image popped up and I'm like, oh, that'll work. But last volume ended really insanely. Aoi and Akane apparently got out. Well, apparently Teru and Akane got out, but Aoi was still stuck back in the world, and Hanako is conveniently using Aoi remaining in the limbo world as a means of swapping lives for Yashiro, so Yashiro gets to live. And it didn't hit me, the implications of that, until in volume 14, some people noted in the comments, they're like, well, if Yashiro's not close to death anymore, then, and she's not an exorcist, then she won't be able to see Hanako anymore. And I was like, oh, oh no. So it just hit me like, oh, crud. That's true. She won't be able to see Hanako. So how is this gonna work? Is Hanako just gonna, or is the manga ending? I feel like it's not, because we don't have all these answers. We don't know about Hanako and Tsukasa. We don't know about his death. We don't know about Tsukasa's death. There's so many unanswered questions that I'm like, so we're just, how is this gonna work? Is it just gonna be Hanako and Minamoto? Is it gonna be Hanako and Kou doing a thing? And Yashiro's not involved in it? Like, how is this going to work? But I was like, oh, yeah, that's not good. So this whole series, I get the distinct impression that the mangaka is like, you know what? It's cute. You're having a great time. Here's some pain. That's what I feel like, because the last volume ended with such like ominous, just things not good. Even though they escaped the sixth wonder, even though they escaped death literally, it still doesn't look good. And so I'm really nervous what's going to happen this volume. And then after this volume, we're going to have a big wait, because then we got to wait until chapters 76 through 80 come out, which is going to be a while. So I'm going to try to savor this volume for all that it is, because after that, it's going to be a little bit of a wait before we get more Hanako-kun, which is sad. So, with that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. We are going to jump in. When I ended volume 14, I'm like, I'm going to wait a while, and then when we have all 5 chapters for volume 15 out, it'll be fine. And now we do. So I'm like, okay, I'm not waiting anymore, because I have to know how what ends up happening. So we ended one arc, supposedly, and assuming we're going to start another one, I don't know where it's going. But in any case, we are going to start volume 15 of Toilet-Bound Hanako-Kun here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and yeah. Holy cow! Okay. Okay. That's, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. That's not just the creepiest thing I've ever seen. It's fine. Ah! What the heck? What was this volume? Okay. I was just put through like an emotional ringer, because I this whole volume went from like being incredibly sad to giving us some hope to being incredibly sad to being incredibly creepy. I don't know why I'm surprised. It's Hanako-kun. Why am I surprised? But oh man, so so the manga is going to go on. We're building a path. We are working towards making our way back to Hanako somehow. They're not gone. They're just trapped in their boundaries in the spirit world, and they're trying to figure out a way to get back to them because the portal's been closed. And so I'm surprised that Teru is helping them, to be honest, unless he really does like Aoi, and he's like, well, we got to rescue her, and she's in trouble, so I got to do my job as an exorcist. Like, that really surprises me. But holy cow. Like, just. Why not? Why not? That's insane, guys. That's just. What the heck? I'm so floored by this because for one, it's like I said at the beginning of this, the authors were like, okay, you guys wanted Yashiro to live, okay, but there are consequences to that, and here's the consequences. We're going to take Hanako away from you guys now. And it's like, no, we didn't want that. There's so many things I'm curious about. Kou, this volume, like, Kou was clearly, at the beginning of this, I was like, why is Kou so, like, happy? Like, Mitsuba's gone. And clearly that he knows about the severance, so why is he happy? But it's all been, Kou has been suppressing some serious PTSD about all of this and has been really suppressing all this trauma and being like, everything's fine, I'm not bothered. But he's bothered. Like, it's a big deal. And he is trying to come to grips with the fact that, yeah, Mitsuba is gone. And even if you get back to the Franken Mitsuba, it's not the same person. It's just a fraction of him, of his soul left over. So it's not quite the same. And so Kou, like, breaking down and crying. That whole chapter with them going to Mitsuba's home and being with his mom, like, I started tearing up. Like, that made me so sad because it was so heartbreaking that the mom's doing her best by herself without her kid there, and the circumstances around Mitsuba's death. I feel finding out about exactly how Mitsuba died, it's not how I thought it was. I thought it was like during the daytime that he got hit, but apparently it was at night. I feel like since we've been getting the whole circumstance around Mitsuba's death, I feel like it's going to be a matter of time before we slowly get around to Hanako. Like, the fact that we've just come out with Mitsuba gives me a little bit of hope that we're eventually going to get Hanako's backstory. Natsuhiko and Sakura are gone, which is interesting. Nowhere to be found. Tsukasa's gone, apparently. Nowhere to be found. Which is good for our protagonist, except for this creepy dollhouse. The red house. This creepy home. And I'm sorry, but that kid looked like Hanako. With the hair and everything. Sus. Such susness going on. I don't like it. At all. At all. I don't like it. But yeah, Teru. So Kou makes more sense now. Kou's coping, but wants to get back and find out from Mitsuba. And Yashiro and Akane trying to get back for Aoi and Hanako. Like, that all makes sense. There are two things that really stand out about this story. I mean, before we get to him, though, Akane, like, the dead expression during that dinner date without Aoi in his life, that cut deep. Like, just seeing how depressed he was, it was like, oof. Okay. But there's two things that stuck out in this volume. One is, obviously, Kou suspiciously telling Yashiro that he knows that Natsuhiko told him how people become supernaturals, how supernaturals are created. And he doesn't get to tell her, and I'm like, of course you didn't get to tell her. This is miscommunication. It's all going to come out later. Fine, tease us with that, why don't you? But I'm like, why would he tell Yashiro? Because I know that Kou likes Yashiro. Like, even if it's not romantic, he does like her as a friend. Why would he tell her how to become a supernatural if he knows that she's trying to get back with Hanako? And if he thinks that she has feelings for Hanako, is he trying to help her become a supernatural so she can be with him? What are we doing with that? Like, Kou, your motivations are sus. I'm curious why you're telling her that if you don't want her to become a supernatural. Because Yashiro clearly would try to do it, I think. I don't know. Which seems like a counterpoint to us, the whole last volume and a half, trying to get to where Yashiro doesn't die, but then, I don't know if it's something like Akane, where she'd be half a supernatural and half human. I don't know how that would work. So there's that to think about, that we have that little carrot dangling in front of us. And then the other thing is Teru. Because it's kind of like, on the one hand, Teru on his day off seems super happy that he'd go to the arcade and go to the karaoke machine and do all this and not be fighting, not exercising around town. But on the other, so he seemed happy, but then it like, okay, now that I can't do a job, what do I fill my time with? Like, I feel like maybe that's his sense of purpose. And now that the severance has happened, his sense of purpose is gone. So he could lounge around and do nothing all day, but that's not Teru's style. So he clearly, I'm like, is he helping them because he wants things to go somewhat back to the way that they were? Or what are the other motivations with this? Because I'm like, Teru hates supernaturals. He's been built up as someone that doesn't like supernaturals. He doesn't think any of them are good. So is it just to save Aoi, or is there another motivation, another ulterior motive behind it? I don't know. And it's Teru's motivations make me curious, and the whole thing about Kou knowing supposedly how you create a supernatural, according to Natsuhiko, which Natsuhiko is not a reliable narrator. So I'm curious if Natsuhiko's just feeding him lies to see if he'll tell Yashiro or not, and it's probably not something good. So, and then we have this creepy house that's super creepy and sus. Oh, guys, the weight is gonna kill me on these chapters, y'all. Because I'm doing this by volume because I really love, like, this whole volume here was so satisfying start to finish. I mean, it was terrifying and sad and angsty, and I didn't like parts of it, especially the beginning of it when Hanako left. But in the same vein, I love reading it in terms of being just a succinct volume. So now I have to wait on chapter 76 through 80, which is going to be a long wait. It's going to be summer before we get to see more Hanako-Kun. But y'all, it's going to be worth it because these chapters, holy cow. This was worth the wait to get to volume 15. That was just... And now Hanako must know that she likes him. And it's like when they get... I'm fully convinced they're going to reunite. I don't know. These authors like to torture us. They just like to torture us. It's like, dang it. Such a tragedy. But y'all, I love this series and the manga. I really hope they do a season 2 because there's so much they could do with this. Like, there's just so much they could do with it. But I would only want them to do the anime adaptation of this if they're going to keep the tone as serious. Because, to be honest, the first season, the anime, it has its more somber moments and it has its scarier moments. But overall, it's a very comedic, it's played up for comedy, and it's very cutesy and light and fluffy in comparison to the manga. The manga gets dark and tragic in this. And unless the anime keeps that tone and gets that darker tone, I don't know if I'd like it. Because the comedy bits are there, obviously, in these chapters. But overall, the tone is very somber. So yeah, holy cow, guys. I'm so curious to know your thoughts down below. What you guys thought of this volume, of these chapters. It's going to be a wait, but it's going to be so worth it. Because oh man. Holy cow. So yeah. Toilet-Bound Hanako-Kun. What can you say? I'm so excited to hear your guys' thoughts down below. Please let me know what you guys think. And then, as always, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, it'll be gone before we know it. And volume 16. Next time, I'll be back with volume 16 in the future for Toilet-Bound Hanako-Kun. Bye.